In this tutorial, we are going to learn more about the object-oriented features of Kodu for programming and making games. In the process, we will create a version of the classic Space Invaders game where aliens attack a player at the bottom of the screen. One of the main ideas we will include here is object inheritance. This is a very important concept in object-oriented programming, and the idea is that we can take an object and specialize it by adding extra abilities and sometimes extra properties. An example of inheritance can be seen here. A vehicle is a general idea of something that allows us to move around and transport. This can be split into specialized versions, such as boats or wheeled vehicles. Wheeled vehicles can be further specialized into manual wheeled vehicles, such as a bike, or automatic wheeled vehicles, such as a motor car. So the idea in inheritance is that we are taking a class and we are specializing it by adding new additional features. New class inherits all of the old attributes and methods, so it can still access all the same properties and all the same abilities as the base class, but it adds additional abilities. An example here, a weapon in a role-playing game, for example, could be for missile or melee. Melee is close-up combat, and this would include weapons such as sword, axe, or mace, and these would obviously do damage to a character within the game. A missile weapon is something that is used at range. These can be further specialized into thrown missiles or fired missiles. Thrown missiles such as spears or shuriken can be thrown by a character. Alternatively, they could use a longbow or a crossbow in order to fire a projectile. The idea can be seen again in the idea of a soccer game or a football game. So a standard soccer player knows how to do lots of things like run around or kick the ball. And we have specialized players in forward or defense positions. The goalkeeper has additional abilities. The goalkeeper is allowed to use their hands to work with the ball, and so this would be a specialization of the base class. It inherits all the abilities of a normal soccer player, but it adds additional features. In Kodu, we cannot add new attributes to our classes, but you can in other object-oriented programming languages. We can't add any new methods, but we can specialize a base class by adding extra event handlers. And we will see this in our Space Invaders game. So this is an example of Space Invaders. We have waves of aliens which make their way down the screen towards the player at the bottom. And the player is shooting and trying to kill them. In the original Space Invaders, it's a black and white game, and the green at the bottom and also the red at the top were achieved using transparent overlays on the screen. There is a third type of object in the game, and that is a mothership, which you can see at the top now, and that moves across and is worth extra points. In lots of game development systems, the idea of a sprite is used to generate the objects on screen. So the sprite is a base class, and we then use inheritance to specialize each sprite to have additional abilities. All of these Space Invader aliens use a different graphic, and they would also sometimes have different abilities as well. So we give special abilities to the player, special abilities to the mothership, and special abilities to individual alien types using inheritance. In Kodu, every object is derived from the base class, and then specialized to have its own particular abilities. In our Space Invader game, we will take a flying saucer and we will add additional abilities to it to make a derived class, which we then use to improve the game performance. So the idea of a sprite being specialized to make a player. The player would have a respawn ability, whereas other items in the game do not respawn. The mothership has the ability to launch flying saucers, and again this is something that only the mothership has. And the flying saucers follow a path down the screen. In our game, they will eventually start to chase the player.